Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. 2:30 on Tuesday. That means it's time to go down to New Orleans. Our guy Sharief Ishaq with WDSU joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sharief, how are you, sir?
I was great over the weekend in San Diego. Not so much now.
Back from vacation?
Yeah, I'm still on vacation, but I should have stayed longer and just maybe gone to Seattle and watched the All-Star game.
All right, let's talk some Saints. Obviously, the news comes down from Las Vegas that Alvin Kamara's case has been decided. He pleads down to a misdemeanor. He'll do some community service, pay $100,000 in medical to the victim, and that'll be it legally in the state of Nevada. What's next?
Well, as you know, the NFL doesn't, really care if you get convicted or not of a crime because they can still drop the hammer on you. There's the good news and bad news. The bad news is the code of conduct policy. He violated it regardless if they went to court or not. The good news, it's not a violent crime, and it's not considered a felony because they pleaded it down to a misdemeanor. If they did not, it could have been 6 games suspension without pay at the minimum. Now you're looking at maybe something between the lines of 4 to 6. You're talking about a guy this is an isolated incident. He's been a very good, ambassador in the city of New Orleans. Doesn't really, do any foolish stuff on the field. Not like getting into it with fans or camera people. Not doing anything crazy. And maybe the NFL, sees that and says, hey, this is an isolated incident. He's been a good football player off the field. Hasn't really done much outside of this. And maybe it's a 4-game suspension or maybe less than that. I mean, I would think it's 4 to 6 games because the code of conduct was violated for sure. But man, if they go 6 to 8, that would be an absolute, disaster for Kamara in the States. I know they have 2 running backs there, to relieve that. But man, it'd be nice for the Saints to catch a break. And I'm not absolving him of doing, the wrongdoing, but it's just at some point in time you would think the Saints catch a break and maybe 2 to 4 games because it was pleaded down to a misdemeanor.
So you're not wild about the Saints running backs after Kamara. They go out and sign the NFL's rushing touchdowns leader, and they go out in the draft and try to address because they knew this was coming. But you don't love what they have behind Kamara.
I love what they have behind Alvin Kamara. I really do love. I just hope they can stay healthy. If Kamara does get suspended for, if it's 4 to 6 games, you just hope, that Kendry Miller and Jamal Williams can carry the load. And if that happens, I'd assume they're going to have a third running back on that roster because it's the NFL. The running backs just seem to go down. You just hope that those 2 guys, your main 2 guys behind Alvin Kamara, can stay healthy while he's out. And, I like it. I mean, he's a ground and pound running back with the NFL touchdowns, like you said, big dude who can, he can break some away and he can, do the short yardage for them as well. And I'm anxious to see how Kendry Miller does. I think that's, I thought it was a really good pickup. Now that, he's supposed to be healthy when training camp starts, and they should be in good shape there if they stay healthy. I feel like we're always saying if when it comes to the Saints and Pelicans, but I think they should be in good shape, especially if it's a decent amount of suspension.
I hate that we have to do this, but I feel like I do. Clearly, getting into a brawl and hurting someone is a big deal and shouldn't happen. But if we're just going to put that aside and we'll just talk football, which is tough to do, but we'll separate the two. Could I make the argument that an NFL running back that's knocking on 30's door that might miss the first 6 weeks might help the Saints in November? He's a little fresher.
Right. Yeah. He keeps his legs fresh. You've seen he's missed a few games here in the last few seasons. But yeah, you could look at it that way. If it's, 4 to 6 games, you have him good for the middle to the end of the season. But, the downside is if somebody goes down. But
Yeah.
it's also Alvin's very important in the passing game, running game. He's also good in disguising plays and getting other players open so that, it really hurts to not have him, if it's for the first 4 to 6 games. Let's not kid ourselves. We understand the fresh part when he comes back, but man, not having him hurts. Because of what he does for the other players in the field, gets other guys open, and what he does in the running and passing game. So you could look at it in that way, and you could look at it the negative way, and it's you just hope that it's no more than 4 games at this point because of that, because how valuable he is on this football team when he's really good and healthy.
On the other side of the ball, I just did a segment talking about the Saints secondary because ESPN ranks every position in the NFL 1 through 10 and had Marshawn Lattimore as the number 7 corner in the NFL. And then I kind of went through the other secondary: Paulson Adebo, Alante Taylor, Jonathan Abram, Marcus May, Tyrann Mathieu, What do you think as a whole of this Saints secondary? And then secondly, where do you think Marshawn Lattimore in his career?
No, I think he's trending upwards. You know, when he came back from that injury, it cost him like 10 games. I mean, he was good in the final few games when he came back for the Saints down at, final 4 games of the season. I think he's still one of the top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL when healthy. I mean, go look at the percentage of passes that he gives up. It's very low. I mean, the guys, they don't really throw to him sometimes his side because how good he is, how much he locks down defenders. But I like I like him. I really think he's going to be the top 5 cornerback. I like the depth in that, secondary for the Saints. They got some veterans and the young guys. The depth is there. That's been one of the issues in years past about having good players and the depth in the secondary. That's kind of beaten them up and hurt them throughout the years. But don't be surprised if Alontae is starting at, cornerback when the season kicks off. It's Alontae and Marshawn Lattimore. But it's good to have Paulson Adebo and, Jonathan Abrams and anybody else who makes it there at cornerback. But it's good to have depth there. It's good to have depth there in the secondary with Abrams, Tyron, and it's good to have that depth back there. I mean, with Mays and stuff like that.
Now that we had the ruling on Kamara, is there anything that you're looking for before the Saints report to training camp?
I want to know if they do a little shopping there at linebacker. I want to know if they bring somebody else in, or if they just kind of wait the first week or so to get through a couple weeks of this of their first couple weeks of training camp, first few practices. I think Hunt, I really think that they need some linebackers. They need some depth there. That's the one position I keep looking at. Hey, can they bring in somebody else? Do they maybe do they bring in another safety or two? I mean, I don't know that they don't need another safety, but yeah. I mean, do they go kind of crazy? Do they bring in Hunter Renfrow at receiver, another slot receiver, somebody that Derek Carr is very familiar with? I just feel like they're not done yet, and it may not be anything big, but it's just they have to add a little depth there. I'm fine with the secondary, like I say, with Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu and some of the the backups they have there, and I just think it's got to be linebacker and maybe another slot receiver. And right now they're healthy. That's another position. When someone goes down, you're like, who they're playing. They got 4 or 5 good selections there.
All right, Sharief, we appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
All right, man.
Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.